Hello, and welcome to episode number 6 of the Worlds Adrift podcast from Bosses Studios. My name is Malford. I'm the host of this episode. With my co-hosts here, I've got Julia.
Hello.
And I got Moster.
Good evening.
Yeah. It is an evening.
For us.
Yeah.
And
For us.
maybe not for everyone
Maybe not.
listening.
It could be any time of day for you
Probably
guys.
Should we do that again?
We're doing is we're getting banter straight in there in the beginning, setting the tone.
Too much banter.
Yeah, exactly.
It
Well-
does not include Cuba Gooding Jr.
Does not include Cuba Gooding Jr. So that's a fun in joke for everyone that we spoke about just before we push record. So I'm sure you'll all get that. It's a good start.
How you guys doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
Good. Julia?
I'm tired.
Oh no. Have you heard the latest podcast news? Perhaps that will cheer you up.
Do tell.
Well, the podcast is now.
I think it was a great segue.
The podcast is now on your favourite podcast platforms, including iTunes and Spotify.
That's my favorite.
Those are literally my favorite
Is it-
podcast platforms.
Is it also on Stitcher?
No. Should it be? I will put it up on Stitcher.
I
It
mean,
can be everywhere.
I don't
now.
know if anyone cares about Stitcher, but some people do, I'm sure.
Give us a shout out if you want this podcast on Stitcher.
Thank you. Okay, good. So it's been a busy week, hasn't it?
Oh my god.
Yes, my head is spinning.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me on Discord today if I'm drunk, and I'm like, no,
Not yet.
not yet. But
Drunk on
being busy,
sadness.
not sadness, just exhaustion.
Yeah, we've got a lot coming because we've got this big update which we're all working as hard as we can on, and we're at the point now where we've done the bulk of the dev work. So the features are all sort of completed, and now the stuff is with QA. And you know what? They're finding all these bugs.
Strange.
Oh, man.
I know they're finding so
That's a
many bugs.
first.
Yeah,
Mostly Beatles, I would imagine.
because
Yeah.
we have it's good. No,
Yeah.
not mostly.
Wait,
Although
wait,
there
wait,
was
wait,
one
wait.
with the Beatles.
Yeah.
I guess one was pretty fun actually. They had all of their eyes were messed up, and they had like they looked like they had tumors and stuff. It was really disconcerting.
Actually, I thought that was really cool.
Sometimes it was quite cute, and
Yeah.
sometimes it made me
What's
sad.
your favorite Beatles song?
What's the name of the Beatles song?
What's your favorite?
Oh, my
Beatles
favourite
song?
Beatles song. I was going to say there's a few of those. My favourite is
Home Sweet Home Alabama.
my favourite is Home Sweet Home by Anthrax.
Because somebody has requested that we sing on this podcast.
Right.
Do they know how well we sing?
No, well,
Are
we
they-
should demonstrate. We
Yeah.
should close off this podcast with a little sing song.
I don't like that idea.
I kind of do.
Well, okay then. I'll think about it.
You don't have to. We'll duet it.
I have a feeling that as I don't know that many Beatles songs that well.
Wait, it doesn't have to be a Beatles song.
Okay,
It
well,
could be a Manta song.
It could be a Manta
could be.
song.
It could be an Anthrax song.
Anthrax?
Anthrax, yeah.
That's my Manta.
Is that everyone's favourite band here as well?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you know what? There is someone in this room whose favourite band is Anthrax.
It's you.
No, it's the bird on my arm. I've got a tattoo of a bird. He loves thrash metal.
I wish you hadn't said tattoo, and everybody
Just
at home
the bird
was
on my
just thinking, yeah. It was Silent Bird was
Yeah.
just chilling on your arm.
Now, this is Thrash Bird. He loves Anthrax.
Maybe you know what you should do, so the viewers at home can see. You should tweet that out
Okay.
after
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
that's
let
what
the
Twitter's
people
for,
know.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Photos of birds.
Moving on.
tweet her.
Yeah. Haha. So how's the map going is the next question on this
That's my
piece of
question to
paper.
you.
Yeah, you can say that. Say that now.
How's the map doing?
Really,
Malford?
really well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are we getting 700 islands?
No. So at the moment there are, I'd say, what is it? There are fewer islands in the main map than you're used to because some of the map has been taken up by Haven. So there's, I think, just around 250 islands. But the distribution, I think, is really nice, and I think people are going to really like the changes to the layout in terms of sort of accessibility of later areas and not needing to go back on yourself quite so much.
You know, Malford and I had a discussion earlier today about the importance of map continuity and being able to create spaces that were coherent both lore-wise and for players to really feel like they have progression through the world.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really convinced that it was an important thing because I am a Neanderthal, but Malford is
You said it.
diligently working
Yeah.
to make that a fun experience. And
care
he's
about
done
it a
an
lot.
incredible job. if
I
do
did
say so.
compare my map building to the level design in The Last of Us, which
Yeah,
potentially
I thought about that.
is a little bit much.
It's a little pretentious.
You know what? Aim high.
Yeah,
Sky high.
Yeah,
Get
maybe
it?
not quite to that level.
You
but
aren't very
still-
good at what you do, though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
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 That's not even a joke. I'm being serious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Do we have more topics?
We,
Or is that
yeah,
it?
we do.
That's it. We've done it. Everyone's complimented me. We can leave now.
You know, compliments, British people and compliments, it's a bit awkward
Could I?
with those. I have a question for either of you.
Yeah.
Designos.
Uh-huh.
That's what we are.
I find that sound
Designos.
offensive.
It's my culture.
Reviver charges.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Is that coming into the next update?
it is.
And I want to know more about it because I don't read your design docs because I'm a busy
Normal
gal.
human being. Because nobody should read.
Do you not
those.
have fun reading all of our speculative design
I
docs?
like reading the lore.
There's one person I think outside of the design group that reads those, and it's Gabriel in QA. And for some reason, that man has just decided to take upon himself to read every word that we write, which I'm sure has just rotted his brain.
Yeah,
at
he's
this
a diligent guy, and
He's
you know
very-
he really wants to learn a lot. And really, it's not a great place to.
point. It's a black hole.
Yeah, it's a
Just
strange game.
mental
world.
diarrhea all over like a spreadsheet.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, so, yeah, reviver charges are they're in the builds that we're testing at the moment. So,
So what are
I
they?
think-
How do they work? Why
Yeah.
why were they implemented? Tell me everything.
Can I take this one?
you sure can.
Thanks. I was actually just looking at the
Take it
numbers
away.
for this. It was a system to make it so that the farther you are from your ship or from your reviver when you die, the more costly it is to revive. And by that I mean, if you're very far away from your ship, your reviver is actually going to take damage to its charge. If it runs out of charge and you revive again after it's on 0% charge, you will then do damage to your ship. And if you continue to do this, eventually you will destroy your ship.
Oh.
To recharge your reviver charge, you'll have to find a safe place to land at a shipyard and let it recharge over time, which is a pretty quick process. I believe it takes about 2 minutes to go from 0 charge to full charge.
Oh, that's not too bad at all.
No. The actual numbers for that, they're still being tweaked a little bit, but right now you only take damage to your charge if you're greater than 75 meters away from your reviver. So it's not a particularly punishing system. It's more just for some really crazy stuff that people might be trying to do in the game. And it's also, I think, it makes you a little bit more cautious about doing what you're doing. We like this idea, Malford, correct me if I'm wrong, but we like this idea of players having to go and dock their ship to do repairs, that sort of thing. Obviously, you can still repair while you're in the air, but this sort of bleeds into that experience that we're trying to emulate a little bit.
Yeah,
It's like there's
it-
emergency repairs, and then there's I really did a lot of dumb things and possibly lost my reviver charge because I
Yeah.
was being naughty and trying to
Do crazy stuff.
crazy stuff
Well, we
to
want-
other people.
Yeah, we want crazy stuff in the game, but what we don't want is for your reviver to be somewhere like way up high in the sky where nobody can get to you.
Exploitable.
And you can fall down to an island, mess around with people, and then die and just go do it again, fall down all the way.
Yeah.
With this change, it'll make it so that you can do that a couple times, maybe, but you'll have to eventually bring your ship back down to Earth. Foundation, recharge your
Which
reviver
is not
charge.
on Earth
Not on
at
Earth.
all.
No.
it's not like
Not
the
even
Earth I've seen.
grounded.
There's no water, so it can't be on Earth.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and there's also other things that we know are sort of a problem, like the hell spawner thing, which we're hoping this will do something to mitigate.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you guys know what the hell spawner thing is. It's essentially hiding a very small ship with a reviver on it inside of some geometry somewhere inaccessible, so you can spawn as many times as you like back in the Badlands where there aren't any revivers.
Yeah.
Build a small ship to go and wreak havoc, and then
Yeah, it's just cheating, really.
cheating.
Yeah.
Sneaky.
We really, this is one update to solve that. It's not the main fix to it, but it's something we wanted to add anyway, and it does go a little bit of a way to solving that.
Yeah, we
Well-
think it's a nice sort of broad thing.
Until we've added it, it's not super cheaty. Like every time somebody comes up with an insane exploit or quote marks exploit, I'm always amazed at the ingenuity that goes into this stuff.
That is true. So it
it's
is impressive.
insane.
It's
mean, it's a
upsetting.
cool idea
but
as well.
impressive.
It's upsetting.
And you know what? My favorite thing about it is that they did come up with the coolest possible name for it.
Hell spawner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's really metal.
Rock stars.
Very metal.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Anthrax would be proud.
Your bird.
No, the bird's name's Thrashbird.
Right. Sorry.
Thrash metal.
Sorry.
The
Thrashbird.
band is called Anthrax.
What does he sound like?
The bird.
Yeah, he doesn't sound like anything. He's skin.
He just sounds like a bird. He's a American Robin.
I'm an American.
No,
Never
not
mind.
you're English.
No, I'm English.
You're
I'm
an
the
American,
I
but
forgot
not a
about
Robin.
that. My bad.
Hey.
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 Is there anything else you'd like to ask us, Julie?
I would like to ask you two kind of related things. One being that we're also continuing on the topic of crafting food from the previous episode, about tailoring. Because that's another very interesting thing that we can now craft. Well, now being in the future. And the fact that gear will also be wearing down.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
These are two kind of separate things,
Yeah.
really.
The clothes will not wear down.
No.
No.
So you'll never lose the clothes on your back unless they are
Oh
a
man,
glider.
I'm disappointed. I was envisioning naked travelers.
Yeah.
Just
I mean,
like
you can
in
still
all
take
those,
your clothes
all
off.
those,
You can
like
just
in
take
all
them off.
those survival games where everyone's running around naked.
Which is, that's really what we thought would be the most fitting thing for the aesthetic of Worlds Adrift.
Absolutely.
So the next update, we're removing the underwear and adding full physics genitalia.
Floppy wieners.
Yeah, floppy wings.
Yeah,
just
we
like
we played a
just
little
like
bit too
Conan.
much Conan, and now we want more genitals in the game.
Yeah, so in fact, we've doubled the amount of genitals that each character has.
If you double 0, it's still 0. You're aware of that, right?
Oh, dear.
we are joking, by the way.
You
So
are.
what does
Tailoring.
tailoring?
Um,
Tell us more about
Yeah,
that. What can
sure.
you tailor? How do you tailor?
you can tailor a whole host of clothing.
a host of clothing. How do you find it?
You find it in chests, or if you're lucky, you might grab a compass and find some
Special
potential
faction stuff.
Yeah, no, I wasn't going to say anything.
I think you can craft all of the clothes that the special faction have because they're a more current thing, and you can craft some specific sets of the other stuff. So there's plenty of hats and coats and stuff. And the nice thing about the stuff that you tailor yourself is that not only do you get to decide what you're wearing and make copies of it, you also get to decide what color it's going to be.
Oh yeah, we added dyeing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Do you wanna
Now
know-
isn't that exciting? Where do you get the dice from?
I was about to say, do you want to know where? So there's a bunch of items in our game that are classified as scrap items. You find them in scrap heaps. These
Like
piles
the big
of
magenta square?
no, not that one.
No, wait, that's a plinth.
The scrap heaps are these giant piles of rubble and metal and rock and whatever
Yeah.
that you might find all over Foundation. And in there you'd find these scrap items. And when you salvage them, if they have a color, you will get the pigment of the color that the item has. So like a forest green looking item will salvage into a forest green pigment. And then you'll use that pigment if you find a special schematic called dyed cloth. Dyeable cloth, yeah. You'll create cloth that has been dyed with that pigment using that schematic, and then use that cloth in tailoring to make all sorts of wonderful, beautiful, colorful cloth.
So for outfits, you would be finding schematics as well?
Yeah.
Cool. And what was Luke mentioning a while ago about Manta dropping leather? So you can make leather items. Can you dye leather as well?
You cannot dye leather.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Tan
yeah.
it. You can tan leather in the real world.
Well, we want it to be a proper progression in the tailoring thing. At the moment, you'll just craft clothing from your inventory, but in the future there'll be a big loom that you use to make it, and then we'll potentially have other items or other methods for doing other things. So maybe we even have like a tanning station or something like that, which allows you to do more complex things with dyes. Like maybe that's how we make leather.
Yeah. We were talking about using dyes for a whole host of other things too. Like we were talking about adding flares that you could color and gas, whatever they're called, like trails. What is it when you're flying?
Smoke trails, yeah.
Smoke trails.
So
thank
potentially you'll be able to have like an aircraft display.
Yeah.
You'll be able
So you
to
can spell
drop in
out-
some color into your engines and get some smoke.
Yeah, you can spell out Malford in the sky in colorful sky.
I will do that every day.
I know you will.
Yeah.
I'll do it too.
Yeah, good.
Wink.
Wink.
Yeah, a whole bunch of other stuff in the future. For now, it's just cloth,
Yeah.
and hopefully, in the near future, we'll get some more stuff.
I did see the model of the loom being worked on, and it looks gorgeous.
That is not going to be part of 27.
No,
No,
I don't-
not 27.
That's 20.
I figured since the model
something,
itself
maybe?
was being worked on quite
Yeah.
recently, it's not making it in 27.
We don't know exactly what we're doing for 28 yet, so that might well be part of it, might not be.
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll probably be focusing on fixing a lot of things in 28.
Yeah, we've been through all the things we'd like to do, and we've we've really reduced the amount of sort of features that are on that list, and we're really going to hopefully focus on stability and bug fixing for 28.
The other thing you asked us
Can
about...
you hear that? That's the sound of cheering in the background.
Yeah. The other thing you asked us about was gear wearing down, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I think we've touched on this briefly before again in the podcast, but the gear wearing down thing is it sounds strange, but it's actually a way of allowing us to make gear more durable in a way, because previously, as a way of sort of preventing certain exploits, every time you died you would lose your glider. Now we're adding more gear items to the game, and we're doing a few more things that should hopefully be very exciting, and things like lamps and things like that as well, which again you lost on death before. We really want to make sure that you don't lose those as often. So the deterioration stuff basically means that the longer you use something for, the more damage it takes. And now for the glider, that means that if you use it for sort of short journeys, it's not going to take a lot of damage at all. You can use them for a really long time. But if I want to get on my platform, go to the top of the world, and then fly a really long way to another island, it might break before I get there.
No.
Yes. For other things like lamps and things like that, you can have your head torch and you can keep that on, and those last for a pretty long time. It is a sort of constant use, and then eventually they run out of fuel. And because this world doesn't have the technology to refuel lamps, they just break.
They used to have it, but it was lost in the...
That's it. You see, the
world
nice
ended.
things
They lost a lot of things. One of them is refueling lamps.
Well, most people don't in the Worlds Adrift universe won't really understand how the things they're using work. It's sort of like the majority of people in the real world don't really understand how their smartphones are put together. So if they break, they're not really able to fix them, except that they don't have the benefit of being able to go on the internet looking at a teardown guide.
Right.
Because the internet doesn't exist.
Yeah. Instead
Next
they
up,
have to,
internet confirmed.
They have to chat to the people around them.
Yeah, and the people around them will say, I don't know how
I
that
have
works.
no idea. Yeah.
It looks broken because it's not working. You should
Does your
probably throw it
repair
away.
tool work? If not,
I have
don't
no
know.
idea. Yeah.
I like that. Does that answer your question?
That does very much answer my question.
Excellent.
I'm assuming leather will be used for the gliders. Yes.
The leather or cloth, I can't remember.
I think they might be cloth, but they won't be affected by...
I want leather.
Might be leather.
Yeah, leather will be in all sorts of clothing and... actually just clothing right now, I believe, but it will have other uses in the future.
There's a lot of leather in the new faction.
And Malford's wardrobe.
Oh,
Hey!
but only the secret wardrobe that I have. To find the secret
The one that
latch
leads
at
to
the bottom.
Narnia.
It's in the game somewhere. Go find it.
We have a couple of questions from the community, mostly
exciting.
from YouTube.
Ooh.
Funnily enough, last week's blog just descended into jokes about fly-ins and dives.
Fines and times.
yeah.
I don't know
It's
what
Guy
that
Fieri.
is.
Woo!
It's the name of the podcast was what is it? Diners, Drive-ins, and Designers. Was that
Yes.
the name of it? Yeah. So we got some good
A mouthful.
Guy Fieri
Got it.
related.
I just didn't
comments.
hear you properly.
That's okay.
Excellent.
Yeah. We still, I don't believe we had a request last week for the community to tweet at Guy Fieri to try and get in contact with us. I took a look. I didn't see anybody doing that.
I did tag him in the podcast.
But yeah, I'm hoping that we still have some sort of contingent who's interested in that. And if we could get maybe his marketing manager or something on the line as soon as possible. that'd be
Someone knows
great.
where he lives.
Yeah.
Don't go to his house.
No, we're not promoting stalking.
You mustn't.
You mustn't.
You mustn't. Maybe send him a letter though.
Yes.
A physical letter.
A tweet.
Yes, you can
tweeter.
tweet at him.
Tweet.
You can
Real
tweet.
world
That's what Twitter's
tweets, I
for.
believe they're called letters.
Send a bird.
Yes.
Anyway.
So, do you want to get to the community
My
questions
bad.
then, Julia?
I wish we were more serious.
Oh, speaking of which, Rico Joe definitely wishes we were more serious.
Oh, Rico Joe?
No.
Yeah, he says, I love the game and I think the game is a wonderful idea. I kind of wish they were more professional, though.
Oh, yeah, that sucks. We kind of wish that too, but we're just not.
Whoa.
Sorry.
No, I think
We're having fun on a podcast and we're communicating with our community in a way that we think is entertaining.
And we're
But
trying not to kill each other in the process
and
of
we're
making
trying not to
a
kill each
game.
other. What I mean to say is when we make the actual video game, though, we do have serious conversations and we know what we're doing.
Big time.
Yeah.
A lot of shouting.
Oh, yeah. Especially with Herb. Herb is a shouty guy.
I literally threw a table out of a window. It killed a man last week.
This is nothing more serious than murder.
Nothing more serious than doing a murder.
No. He's saying professional.
Oh, yeah, professional. Not serious.
That's not
Sorry.
professional.
Oh, God. I'm
He's
doing
a
it wrong.
professional hitman.
Yeah.
Table hitman.
That's my other job.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's test this. Is asking, how about cannons you can fire from your helm for solo players out there? They don't have to target anything. Just gotta fire straight.
Right.
There's a specific thing that we made as a prototype a long time ago, which was essentially just like a button and switch system. So you could press a button, and the things that were hooked up to that button would all be activated, and that worked on cannons. However, to make that into a proper feature that would work would require a bit more work than we actually put into it.
It's sort of like being a puppeteer.
It's like a puppeteer, yeah. So you could, the best thing to use it for would be you'd hook up the button and the switch, and you'd turn all the lamps on your ship at once.
That's the best thing.
Best.
And
the horn.
Yeah, there you go.
Have 6 or 7 horns on your ship, a button that activates them all.
Foghorns, confirmed.
But that was the sort of flexibility. So we'd like to do that properly at some point, rather than just sort of a quick, dirty prototype. So hopefully one day we'll have that in.
Awesome.
And that will benefit solo players.
Awesome. Awesome opossum. Or possum. Is it possum?
They're both things.
Actually, yes, they are both things. I did recently find out that they are different animals.
Which is your favourite, the possum or the opossum?
I like the Oh, are you asking them?
I'm asking everyone.
I like the opossum.
Yeah, I like the opossum.
Yeah.
I like all animals equally.
Equally?
Yes.
So you like wasps as much as like pandas?
Equally, she said.
And crabs?
She did say equally. What kind of... what about the fish
king cobra
larva that replaces their tongue?
Oh yeah.
You know
what about the like parasite that goes into an ant's brain and makes it go to the top of
no,
I said animals, not parasites.
No. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
No, those are animals.
Parasites are animals, surely.
No, okay, let's exclude. Let's limit that to mammals and fish and birds.
Jellyfish.
Rico Joe's going to be pissed.
Jellyfish are alright.
Okay.
They're alright. Not a huge fan, but they're alright.
Okay.
Sorry, Joe.
I feel like there's more of a hierarchy. There's more of a hierarchy
Joe.
than you're letting on, Julia.
My favorite are mammals, especially eating them. The capacitor. That word.
Good reading,
capacitor.
Julia. Love it.
Capacitor.
When will update 27 features be available on the BTS?
Well, it should be pretty soon.
Yeah.
We are finding that we have some pretty tough to iron out bugs at the final hour here, but assuming that all goes according to plan, it should be in the next couple weeks.
Okay.
Maybe sooner.
Maybe sooner.
No,
maybe
in the next couple of weeks.
It will-
Meaning
Within that.
could be tomorrow. It's not going to be.
It's not tomorrow. I will tell you
But
now.
that is.
It is not tomorrow.
But that is at one day when you're listening to this, it will be tomorrow, and then after that, it will be forever.
Getting
Only
way
if
too
you re-listen to it the day before.
This is way too philosophical.
I'm so glad that we've given you a straight answer.
Yeah,
on
sorry.
this.
To be more serious, I can't give you a specific date, but it should be within the next week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think one of the things with the PTS is that we don't want to set hard release dates ahead of time on it, because it's one of those things that's sort of like it's important that it doesn't delay the main release. Mm-hmm. So we'll put it on the PTS when we have a decent release candidate.
Yeah, and it's sort of like a soft release for us.
Yeah.
I mean, we want it to be functioning in its entirety when we give it to PTS, so that we can know from the community, we can learn from the community things that we may have missed. I mean, that's a huge part of it, right?
Not like bug things, but things... Oh, I just hit my microphone. Things that might not work as intended in terms of possibly design or something like, I don't know, implement a screen shake that will piss everyone off.
Yeah. Bug things too.
Yeah, bug things as well, but yeah.
So we want to give them a version that is complete, and that should be coming really soon.
So very, very briefly, the update 27 itself is scheduled for the very beginning of October. That is probably not going to change, but we are still to confirm a date. However, it's going to be about 1.5 weeks of PTS being available prior to that. If we can get it to you guys sooner, we will. But that's more or less how it's going to be. Then Swigolass.
Such a great name.
Yeah,
Such a great name.
I like that.
I was asking. This game is great. Even with my bad PC and everything on low, it's very enjoyable. It makes me happy to see that the team spends so much time looking at what the community has to say instead of ignoring them. Great job and keep it up.
Oh, wow.
That's not a question, but I put that in
Yeah,
there
thanks.
because I thought that we need this.
I feel better about myself.
Thanks for putting that one in there. Swigglehouse, do you have any negative feedback for us? We're more used to that if you'd like to throw that our way.
We're not used to nice words.
Do you have any rude words to say about our voices or something?
Yeah, please leave it in the comments below.
I've been told I sound like I got run over by a truck, and these are my final dying, gasping words. That someone told me that
I
once.
hear that.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's not the response I was looking for.
He was looking for reassuring words.
Well, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
I'll go ask Swigglehouse about it.
It's-
Maybe he'll have some more
Yeah,
positive
I don't think it's
to
a
say.
bad thing.
Or she.
I think it's a great thing that you sound like you're dying, man.
Good.
Hey, you know how attractive Scarlett Johansson is?
Yeah.
She's continuously being told that she sounds like she's ill.
So I can still be pretty and sound like crap?
Yeah.
All right.
Face for the radio.
If I sound good,
Yeah.
does it mean I'm not pretty?
Wait.
No, that we're not necessarily.
Okay.
There's no direct correlation.
Oh, I hope I sound bad.
There's no direct correlation this way or that.
There's no going back, though.
Sean Ford asks, hey, I'd like to ask that if this isn't the place, may you please add Oceania servers as long as I
Yeah,
have
this
a
is-
large... What?
I know. So this question is essentially we don't have any servers anywhere near to sort of Australia and Oceania, that kind of. Well, Australia's in Oceania, obviously, but we don't have any servers in that part of the world, and hopefully we'll be able to do something about that. But basically, at the moment, we are using. I think we're using Amazon servers.
Yeah.
So we're sort of reliant on them. So unless we can partner up with some sort of countries in that part of the world, or
I would be surprised if Amazon didn't offer some services near Oceania. But
Amazon have basically only just launched over there.
Is that true?
It's quite a.
wait, are you serious?
Not like it wasn't like the last year or so, but certainly it was just books a few years ago.
So are you telling me Jeff Bezos is going to get even richer?
One day.
One day.
May well happen.
God, that's the
And
worst.
you know what? There's a good chance that I'm talking crap because this is just based on my very minor memories of things a few years ago. So if I'm talking rubbish, then let me know. We really value anyone who wants to play our game, and the fact that you're having such a negative experience says here that you have 10 to 15 minutes of play before you basically can't play anymore because of the lag. So it's really important to us to address that, and certainly like we want to support that. When exactly and how is a bit more of a question for us to figure out.
Well, interestingly, we do have quite a few players in Australia who don't experience these problems. So there might be more underlying issues that come up with certain people's certain builds, and in some cases, it might just be that people are used to the fact that if there isn't a local server, they will experience these problems and kind of blame the fact that there are no local servers. Not saying that that's the case here, or necessarily always the case. I do know that there's quite a few Australian-based players on Kapulka, and they've been feeling great until like we done added a bug or two.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, your experience of having problems with lag and rubber banding isn't.
It's a global problem.
Yeah, that's a global problem at the moment. But
and-
think being able to support different parts of the world is in different. However we do that, however we accomplish that, it's important to us.
Yeah, we don't. It's never the intention of any games company to limit themselves to just one region. So, especially in MMO.
Have you ever tried to play a obscure Japanese video game?
No.
Because back in the day,
Is that
certainly.
literally the name of it?
Yeah.
That's a
you
really
ever
weird
heard
name
of
for
it?
Well,
that.
I think
No.
that's in the name then.
I was trying to think of a good example, but I put too much pressure on myself, and so I utterly failed. So it was a bad.
It's a good
anecdote.
try, buddy.
You're
It's
like,
all
we're
right.
not localizing.
Sorry, guys.
Never mind.
The original Earthbound. There you go.
Should we start the podcast
was
from the
hard.
beginning then?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to
They
go
do.
in a minute, so
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, do it
Oh,
without
dear.
me messing it up.
Maybe then, is it time?
Is it time?
It is time.
It is
We
time.
are currently recording this as Tripaholic is also hosting a Ideas Jam.
Yeah.
So we should probably jump back in on that and share the love. Thank you very much to Trip for doing that. That's just massive shout out to you.
Yeah, well, we've already seen some cool ideas and good conversation happening. We were only in there for a little bit before we did this, but
Yeah.
great stuff.
It's nice to see the community banding together to really show how much they care about the game. I mean, it's crazy how much time people who don't get paid to do it, think about the game and try and make it something amazing.
It's an awesome game.
Thanks,
It's
guys.
incredible.
It's people
good to see.
recognize that there's so much freedom and so much potential in it, and it's so inspiring.
It is, yeah.
It's awesome. Thanks, guys.
That's why we do what we do, right?
Yarp.
To make people happy.
Yeah. Well,
Well, that's ideally. That's
I
why
want to
we
make
do.
people unhappy, but I'm just in the wrong line of
Keep
work.
doing what you're doing.
Wrong line of work. You guys should play. You go on the Game Jam website, the Bossa Game Jam website, if it's still up, and play a game I made called I Hate You. It's a game which is all about having complete disdain for the player.
Ah,
But
Sounds good.
That's not my normal approach. I'm being facetious, but it is a game that hates you and will
That's
insult
kind of-
you all the time.
I feel like when I played Surgeon Simulator and I Am Bread,
Yeah.
I felt that way about both of those
Oh,
titles.
it's worse.
It's a thing. I believe it. I was
It
just saying.
literally one of the
Seems like
things
a
that
thing
happen
for Bossa.
sometimes when you die and I hate you, it says your mother called. She says she wants a better child.
Oh Jesus.
That's good writing.
Speaking of games you love to hate and hate to love, Surgeon is out on Switch today.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh.
Surgeon Simulator
Woo!
CPR edition, right?
Yeah.
Is that
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
You can now co-op Murder Bob on a slab of metal.
If you love your Nintendo Switch, you're going to absolutely adore Surgeon Simulator on it.
It is
Uh,
true.
The problem with you saying it like that is
Yeah.
that's all true.
Yeah.
It just sounds like it's not true.
sarcastic.
Yeah. All right.
On that note,
I'm going to do the outro now,
You
guys.
want to do it? You
yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
do it.
Okay, thanks very much, guys, for listening to episode 6 of the Worlds Adrift podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, we are now accepting your love in the form of ratings on iTunes. That's in the script. That's a weird thing to say.
There's a smiley
Smiley face.
Smiley face. I'm smiling right now, you guys. But yeah, you can now rate us on iTunes. If you, in fact, or on Apple Podcasts, it's called now. And in fact, if you would subscribe to us on there, that would also be amazing. You can get in touch with us on worldsadrift.com, on facebook.com/worldsadrift, on Twitter @worldsadrift, and you can also speak to us there directly. My Twitter handle is @Malford_.
Mine is at fat __mo. It's at fat mo.
You said double T.
I'm gonna keep saying that every time I do this. Really change that.
Mine is at lady_Jeanette, spelt double T. I'm going to link all of our names and everything in the podcast notes below. And we'll see you guys or hear you throughout the week, and you'll hear us next week.
Yeah, see you later, guys.
See ya! Have a lovely
Bye.
weekend.
Love you. Bye.
Bye!
Ciao.